Hey everyone. So today I want to discuss some apologetic questions, something that I've been asked. The question, who made God? Now, the Bible emphatically states that God is the cause of the universe. Now, many atheists have a big problem with this. They come back and say, well, if God is the creator of the universe, then logically you have to ask, who made God? Richard Dawkins, who's arguably the most famous atheist right now in the world, made this the center argument of his whole book. Here it is right here, The God Delusion. He said this: the temptation is a false one, because the designer hypothesis immediately raises the larger problem of who designed the designer. So this is actually a question that for some reason is getting a lot of press, but I don't believe it's a very good question at all. So the first part is, you don't need an explanation of the explanation to know that it's the best explanation. So let me give you an example to illustrate my point. So suppose there's a couple of archaeologists that are digging at an ancient site, and they find a buried wall. And as they dig the dirt out from the wall, they uncover it and find this beautiful painting on the wall. Now, it takes no genius to believe that that wall was created by intelligence, and that the painting was created by intelligence, just because it's obvious, it's apparent. Now, it makes no sense for those archaeologists to say, oh, look what natural processes created, with erosion and all the weather elements. This is, it created this beautiful painting and this wall, stacked up bricks somehow. We would never say, well, we can't conclude that humans were the ones who created this wall because we don't have an explanation of those humans. No, nobody would do that. It's obvious that the best explanation of art and a wall would be humans, because nothing else makes things like that. We don't always need an explanation of the explanation for it to be the best explanation. Also, if this was the attitude, then why stop there? Why not have an explanation of the explanation of the explanation of the explanation? So you see here, we get into an infinite regress, and really science itself can't operate in that paradigm. We have to be able to conclude with good evidence that an explanation is sufficient. The problem is we'd get into an infinite regress of explanations and never come to a conclusion of anything. So that's the first part. Next, let's analyze the second part of this question. Who created God? Now, you probably noticed that there is an assumption inside that question. The assumption is that God is created. Atheists like Dawkins assume that God was created. Why call it the God Delusion? Shouldn't he have entitled his book The Created God's Delusion? He probably wouldn't have made as many sales that he did, because nobody's going to buy a book called The Created God's Delusion. We actually have a word for created gods. We call those idols. And idols, by definition, are a delusion. God has always existed, and nowhere in the Bible does it claim that he was created. God is eternal. He never had a beginning, and he'll never have an ending. Let's look at what the Bible has to say about this. Colossians 1:16 says, all things were created by him and for him. Let's check out John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word. So there was a beginning, but the Word, or the Logos, preceded the beginning of the universe. And we really do need an unmoved mover. We need something to act upon our space-time dimension in order to get everything going. We'll talk about this in other videos. So as you can see, we have two categories of things. Things that have come into being, things like chairs and watermelons and snow cones. And then the second category of things that never were created and just always were. And that's the category that God would fit into, an uncreated being that always was and is eternal. So when you get asked these questions by the atheist, you can humbly ask, you're asking me where God came from. You say that your creator is the universe. So who created your creator? Most atheists are materialists. They believe that there's nothing outside of matter. There's nothing more. There's no spirit. There's nothing else. They have a problem with things that are uncreated. But the problem is where did the laws of nature come from? Where does matter and energy come from? If they always were, then they believe in something that's eternal. This was just some thoughts I wanted to share. I would love to hear what you think about this whole question, and I would love to interact with you. Please share what you think in the comments below. I also would like to hear what answer you gave to someone who asked you this question. I've been asked this question, but I would like to see how you approached it, because there's multiple ways of approaching this answer. So yeah, I'd love to hear about it, and looking forward to future conversations. So God bless. Have a good one.